Hi, I'm Samantha of Goddess Awakening. I'm here to hold a safe space and share with you the true and authentic stories of how we got here. Empowering women, elevating for all. All right, welcome back to our next episode of Goddess Awakening. I first wanted to start off by telling everyone who's been listening, thanks for listening. It is definitely a challenge for me to sit in a room and talk to myself about myself. And I think it's important so you can kind of get an idea of where all of these ideas are coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing with Goddess Awakening. I'm going to keep telling the story of how we got here today on this episode. And pretty soon I'm going to start having special guests on to get to know other people that I work with, who have helped me plan these events, who are also doing things in the music and arts industry, and also just women who are running their own businesses and doing badass things themselves. So here we go. So we left off last time, right before Thanksgiving. So last Thanksgiving, I got to travel to Pennsylvania to visit my family there. I got to see my brother and my sister-in-law, Heather, and their 4 kids. They have 4 daughters. So I spent some time with them over Thanksgiving, which was really special. Working in the corporate world prior, I hadn't had a chance to travel during Thanksgiving. So this was a pretty big deal that I got to actually see everyone and have Thanksgiving dinner with them and meet, their friends and family and just spend time with my family in the East Coast. During that trip, I also got to visit my friend Mango. He lives in New York. So I got to visit him in Horseheads, New York, and spent a night or two with his family. Got to meet his mom and his cat. So that was really cool. He took me to shoot guns, which was actually only the second time that I've shot guns before. But it was really nice to do it with someone who is very respectful of the guns and teaches you how to use them properly, and got to try a whole bunch of different kinds. And then just catch up with Mango and visit with him. He's actually someone that I met through Bonnaroo as well. I want to say it was my first or second year. So about 10 years ago, I met Mango. And he's just been a constant person in my life. One of those people who was just always there for you. Really great guy. So shout out to Mango. Had a great time visiting him that weekend. After that, it's Christmas time. So a lot of things are happening. We actually had my first call with Backwoods Music Festival in December, which was kind of to figure out, what I would be doing with Goddess Awakening in the Backwoods space. So I knew I wanted to do some kind of safe space, harm reduction, curation for the Goddess Awakening tent at this festival. And that was the first call that I got to have with Aubrey. She's one of the main people who does basically everything for that music festival. It went really well. We continued talks from there, and I was just really happy to make the connection with another woman in the industry who's helping to plan these really large festivals and who's been doing these sorts of things for a very long time, specifically around like women's circles and workshops and the things that I wanted to do. So that was a really awesome connection. We started throwing some local events in Oklahoma City. We had a Christmas party. And then we're still working again on year 2 of Goddess Awakening. So the festival itself, we were planning for that to be in March again. Actually, it was going to be in May. Correction. So I also am still dating this guy that I met on Tinder, Brian. So I ended up going to meet his parents during Christmas. I stayed in Oklahoma for Christmas time and met his parents in Norman, which is actually the same town that I went to college in. So not too far from where I live here. Got to meet them. Brian told me ahead of time that they smoke marijuana, which to me was really strange because my parents would have no way. There would be no way they would even talk to me about smoking marijuana. So I didn't really know like how that was going to go. And Brian's parents are, well, Brian's 47. So his parents are, let's just say 20 years older. So they're in their 60s. And I got there and they had this cute house and a cute little kitty, and they're making us beautiful dinner, and we smoked marijuana at dinner. So that was a really cool new experience that we all had together. His parents were great. We had a good time. It was definitely, I was definitely nervous to meet, some of the family, of course, but everything went really well. So happy that I got to connect with them. And then for New Year's, Brian actually got a spot for us in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Really cute little town. He got us this really nice cabin. And then we got to stay the weekend there and just explore and eat good food. And I actually hadn't had coffee for the entire year. So we had coffee. I had coffee for the first time in about 11 months during that trip. So that was exciting. I missed my coffee. And then in January, I went to Tulsa, which is basically my hometown, to visit my younger sister and brother, Hannah and Keegan. They're 17 and 18. Hannah was celebrating we were there to meet Hannah's baby. So this was the first time I got to meet her. And then I also brought Brian with me. And of course, we had to get Andolini's pizza because that's my all-time favorite. And then at this time, we're still planning the Goddess Awakening Music Festival. And I start interviewing for jobs locally. Need something to pay the bills, but I also knew that I was going to be very particular about what jobs that I said yes to. So this did take quite a while for me to find the right fit. In February, we released phase 1 of Goddess Awakening Music Festival lineup. So we had our flyer out. We were announcing some of the artists that were going to be performing, and just getting the word out that we're doing the festival and, buy your tickets. I did another trip to Nashville that month for Brian's birthday. And I brought Brian from Oklahoma with me as well. At this time, me and boyfriend Brian are boyfriend and girlfriend. So we've got Brian Nashville and Brian Oklahoma. That's how we're going to do this. So we go to visit Brian in Nashville, and boyfriend Brian gets to meet a whole bunch of my Tennessee friends for the first time. So that was a good trip, and was happy to see a lot of my friends that I had made through the years at all these music festivals. Back in Oklahoma City, Pinio and Loeb, who are a couple, they're actually a DJ duo from Canada. I booked them for Goddess Awakening the first year, and they were performing in Oklahoma City. So of course we had to go see them and say hello. Always a great time. If you like house, disco, funky music, those are your guys, and super nice people. Anytime that they're around, love to go see them, and would always be down to book them for my future events. This month is also when I had my call with Factory Obscura in Oklahoma City. So at this time we're planning like the road to tour stops for Goddess Awakening the festival. And of course we needed a local venue. I was trying to be very intentional about the venues that we were booking, because I wanted it to be something other than a bar. I was still drinking, but very lightly at this point. So alcohol is just not something that was super important to me. And I wanted it to be a space where people could listen to music, and also it be a unique experience and a unique venue for people to have a good time, and the focus would not be around alcohol. So I had my first call with them, and it went really well as well. Lindsay is her name. She's the one who does all the coordinating, and she's actually in a band herself. So got to meet Lindsay and the Factory Obscura crew, and that was going really well. So I was very excited to work with them. It's like an interactive art museum also. There's always like rotating stuff that goes through different installations. They have tons of events there, but really, really cool space. If you're in Oklahoma or ever in Oklahoma City, definitely want to check out that space. It's awesome. So at this point, I had also landed a job working with a wedding planner in Oklahoma. I've always been an event planner person, but I always said I wouldn't do weddings. However, this fit felt right. So I decided to take the job, and I was working with another women-owned company, which was nice. And it was actually a mom and her daughter who ran the company. So March, we are, again, still planning the music festival. This is when I started to really start learning how to DJ. So it's been something I've wanted to do for a long time. Not something that I ever, want to be famous with or travel and tour and do all of those things. I just love playing music. I love singing in my car, and I really enjoy sharing music with people. So that was a big reason I wanted to learn how to DJ. I'm very connected, obviously, in the music world. So there's always opportunities for people to DJ local events, regional events. And I decided I want to be one of those people as well. We are also working with Backwoods at this point. So we've had a few meetings with Aubrey, with Backwoods, and just making sure we know exactly what we're doing for the event for Goddess Awakening. We also did the Road to Goddess Awakening stops this month in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and also in Nashville. So, of course, we had to go to Tennessee to do some stops for the festival. Chattanooga stop was wonderful. That's actually my first time in Chattanooga, and really enjoyed that space. And then Nashville, of course, we're always in Nashville. So we found this really cool spot, is also owned by a couple women. And it was kind of similar to a mini Factory Obscura, but it's also like a dive bar, but they had different rooms with different art installations. We had a couple vendors set up, so they were selling some stuff and doing some live painting. Of course, had all the female DJs there from Nashville. So that was a lot of fun. Brian is also a DJ, as I've mentioned before. So he got to be our opener for these stops. So he also got to play with us. So that was really cool. Okay, so April, I'm working bridal shows. I'm working with the wedding coordinator. We also had our Factory Obscura event this month. So that was a lot of fun. Had some people that they brought in and some people that I brought in, including Noe, who's actually one of my good friends from Dallas, Texas. Her and I met because of Goddess Awakening, the festival, and we have stayed in touch ever since. So she came down and played that with us, and then we did an after party at Flux in Oklahoma City, and that was actually the first event that I got to DJ. I did DJ with Brian. We did a little back-to-back. I was super nervous because I've never done it before. I'm usually the behind-the-scenes person, but I had a lot of fun. It was really cool to have people that had no idea that I was doing this. They're supporting and dancing, having a great time. We also met this month with another venue in Oklahoma City. So it was Josh was standing on the dock. That's when we started connecting with him about their venue. So talking about some future events with them is the next thing that came up. And then this was also when Backwoods Music Festival happened. So we had a group of, was it 8 of us? 8 people. And we got there and we set up our space, basically had a 30 by 10 covered space for the Goddess Awakening tent. Our goal was harm reduction, and we had a few workshops that were running in there right next to the main workshop space with the festival. We were right next to one of the stages that was being ran by my friend Derek, who is in Arkansas. So that was a lot of fun because we were right next door to them. And then all the art installations, Frick Frack, which is this giant installation where they do blackjack and different casino games. All of us were all in one space. So that was really cool to work close with everyone. We had like candy making, we had coloring. If anyone needed Narcan, we had that available. And it really was just a very like chill, calm space where people could come hang out and decompress, and just connect with people. We had hammocks hung up, which was really nice to have right there. We actually had a little space where you could write a note and then go hide it in an Easter egg. And it was just like a little positive message you could leave for the next person. So loved working with Backwoods, such an amazing experience. Really looking forward to continuing that relationship. So that's one that's also in Arkansas. So not too far from Oklahoma City that I would love to continue to go to and host our Goddess Awakening spaces there. And hopefully even do even more things with them in the coming future. So loved working that festival. And that was actually my first Backwoods. And that one is the one who originated in Oklahoma and has since moved to Arkansas. But yeah, the first time I'd been to that fest and one that I plan to keep going back to. So we also had our meeting with another venue in Oklahoma City called Pearl Beach. It's this really cool outdoor space. I was looking for something that was like kid friendly, dog friendly. They host volleyball tournaments. A lot of people don't even know it's there. So it was really cool to start telling people about this venue. And then this month was also Norman Music Festival, which is a nonprofit music festival held in Norman, Oklahoma. I've attended the event before and I don't even remember. I believe it was like a Facebook post. They were looking for volunteers. So I signed up. And then I helped them with basically anything they needed help with. I got to drive some golf carts around and hang up signs. We did the merch tent for a while. We did check-ins for volunteers. But really great people that are running that as well. It was really cool to see behind the scenes of that festival since I've been to it so many times. They have quite a bit of production. I believe it was 3 full stages. And then they also partner with all the local venues like the bars and things that have stages to host DJs and bands. So there's something going on basically anywhere on Main Street in Norman that weekend. So that was really cool too. And this month is also when we did the Road to Goddess Awakening in Fort Worth, Texas. So this one was a lot of fun. It was at Whiskey Garden, and they have an outdoor covered pool. And then if you are basically at the pool level and you look up, there is the DJ stage area. And then everyone else is behind the pool, basically. But really cool venue. It was a really nice hot day, so it worked out really well. The Texans definitely showed up big time for that one, so that was really cool. There was even it was a Sunday, so it was, I don't exactly know what was going on, but there was a bunch of sorority girls who rolled through, probably like 50 of them at least. And it was the perfect timing because we had all female DJs playing, of course, for the Goddess Awakening stop, and they were loving all the music. So that was a really cool day in Texas. And then lastly, this is actually the month that I signed up for the podcast workshop that I'm now recording in the studio currently. So I had my workshop back in April and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I thought I was going to learn like the logistics and technical side of creating a podcast. And it actually ended up being more about just connecting with the people who were in our group. There was about 8 of us, I believe. And we just got to talk about like our goals for our podcast and who we are. And it was a really great experience. And here we are now on episode 4 we're recording right now. So May is when we had Terp Float Fest, the call to work with them and Josh. It's a local music festival in Oklahoma. This is their 3rd year. And I have always heard of this festival and I've never been, which I don't know why, because it was only 2 hours away from Oklahoma City, actually closer to Tulsa. So I had my first call with them and told them about what space I would like to bring with Goddess Awakening. This was also the month of Norman Pride Festival. So That's a really big one. I know there's several across the state of Oklahoma, but the Norman Pride is huge, and I love being a part of that. I was also volunteering that weekend, and just basically helping vendors check in was my main duty. Let's see. This is when we met with Hubbly Bubbly. One of my friends had connected me with the person who does open mic night there, and they were needing a DJ to help with hosting those nights. So I actually got to talk to Electra about that, and we did a couple nights with Hubbly Bubbly as well. And then EDC Vegas. So this was year 2 for me working EDC Las Vegas. This is by far the most challenging mentally, physically, festival that I've ever had to work ever. And I wanted to do it again. Pretty much it's, again, just working with the ground control team. So we get to be rave moms and dads and walk around the festival and make sure everyone is okay. Had really great partners again this time around. I was on the walkie every single day, which I guess they trust me. So basically with the walkie-talkie, if there are any issues, I am the one who is in charge of calling them into dispatch or medical or wherever the calls need to go to get help. To put it in perspective, there's about 200,000 people per day at this event. So it is very loud. You've got about 10 or 12 stages of music going on at all time. But again, a wonderful festival. I'm so thankful that I get to be a part of it. I think it's the second largest music festival in the world, and the people in our team that we get to work with make it all worth it. This was the first year that they had done a new thing for staff camping, where it was basically like they rented these, semi-truck trailers, I guess is how you would explain it. But they were filled with bunk beds. So I think there was like 30 rows of bunk beds, and they were 3 levels high, and they rented those for us. They were quite small, I will say. Originally my bunk that I was assigned to was the top level, which I was not happy about. It was okay on day 1 when I hadn't worked for a 12-hour shift until 6 a.m, but I knew I had to switch. So I swapped to a middle bunk, so it wasn't so bad. It was AC, it was very dark, and people in our van, whatever you want to call it, were very respectful and quiet. So I got to sleep with my earplugs. Thank you, earplugs. But yeah, another wonderful time. One of my buddies, Jason from Nashville, actually got to come along for this one. This was his first Insomniac event. And he was pretty close by me in the bunk beds, and I got to check in with him every day, and he also had a great experience. So that was really cool that we got to do that one together. And then Brian had got a new job with Verizon, and he was doing some training in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So I decided to meet him out there. And then while he was doing his work training, I actually met one of my buddies, Dustin. Dustin's someone who I met at the very first festival that I did back in the beginning of 2021. And we've stayed connected ever since. He's worked the Goddess Awakening events with me. He's done a bunch of the harm reduction stuff with me. And we just align in a lot of our core values. So he invited me because he was having a meeting for his business and wanted me to be a part of that board. So I came down and got to meet him and all of his amazing friends. We just talked about basically what each of us does, what we can bring to the table, and how we can bring this vision that he has to life. And there's a lot of parts to it. Basically, his biggest thing is he wants to teach people how to take care of the earth in a more productive way, and also to learn how to eat and supply food for yourself that is from the earth. So foraging, planting, growing, things like that. And he wants to bring those types of programs into schools for kids so they can know how to do that at an early age. So it was a really cool experience. I got to connect with some really amazing people that he knows. And then from there, we started making a plan for what he wants that to look like. So now we are in June of 2023, and we started hosting a couple of open mic nights with Hubbly Bubbly, like I was saying before. This month is also the month that one of my friends that I had on Facebook posted that she was hiring. And I believe I was driving back from Hot Springs, actually. And she said, I just need someone part-time. So I decided to reach out. And this is the Honey Pot Apothecary in Oklahoma City. Shannon is the owner. And I actually met her at Sailor in the Dock back in January or February when there was an event going on there. And I bought some things from her and I followed her on the socials and just really loved the idea she had for her business. And that's when I started working with Honeypot. After that, I was like, are you still hiring? And she was, and she needed someone for like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which was perfect for me and my weekend travels that I was doing with these festivals and things. And I've been with them ever since. This was also the Flaming Lips weekend. We went to Tulsa, Brian and I, and got to see the Flaming Lips, which is one of my all-time favorite bands ever. They're actually from Oklahoma City, so that's really cool that they are still around putting on some amazing shows. So I got to see them. And then that weekend, we also were visiting my sister and her daughter Isabella for her first birthday. So it was Hannah, my sister, Keegan, my brother, and then Brian and I came down, and my aunt and uncle from Colorado, Aunt Patty and Uncle Tom, were there too. So we all got to meet. They got to meet my boyfriend, Brian, and it was kind of like a little mini family reunion. So it was a wonderful weekend to have everyone all together again. This is also the month that I had my first call with Jamie. Someone had tagged me in a post, and this person that I knew who's hosts retreats was looking for someone to assist with her dog while at the retreat, and someone tagged me. And we had our phone call from there, and she thought it would align perfectly for what she was looking for. And from there, I also helped to start helping with the retreat that we just had a couple weeks ago, actually. So that's the beginning of the retreat that I got to be a collaborator with. We did Disco at the Dock this month as well. So this is the Sailor in the Dock venue that I had talked about before. We did a disco theme. It was an all outside event, and they probably had like 15 vendors, I would say, set up selling stuff, food vendors. And then we decorated the dock, and we got to DJ. So I also DJ'd that event with a few of our friends. So that one was a lot of fun. I loved working with them. Josh with with Sailor in the Dock, really great to work with, and happy that I got to link up with them. And then this is also the recording of the first episode was in June. So that's when the episodes actually started. And then the facilitator meetings for the Wild Emergence, those also began this month. And then into July, I actually found a posting on Facebook. Someone was hiring for a receptionist at a dog salon in Oklahoma City. And so I interviewed for that, and I absolutely loved it. It's also a women-owned company, and all of the groomers there are women. So I got to shadow there, and I knew right away they were going to be flexible with my schedule. I got to be around all these cute dogs, and I had been wanting to get into a morning routine. So this is something that I had to be at work and ready to roll at 6:50 in the morning, which was crazy to me just a few months ago. Like, I am not a morning person at all. And this has totally changed everything. So, Diamond Dog is the salon in Oklahoma City, and it's also super convenient because it's really close to my house. This month I also got into a car accident. I'm okay. Someone just rear-ended me, and that's the first time that's ever happened. So that was a whole experience. I actually just got my car back yesterday. So was without my car for a little over a month. But luckily everyone was responsible and had insurance, so didn't have to worry about those sides of things. I also got a Reiki session from my friend Lindsay, another Lindsay. I had helped her with an event vending a couple months before, so she gifted me this session, and it was absolutely beautiful. If you don't know what Reiki is, basically it is a form of energy healing. They will go through your chakras and see where you are blocked. There's a lot more to it, but I'm just going to give you the basics for now. If you don't know, we'll definitely have some people on here to tell you more about Reiki. But it is absolutely amazing. You have your eyes closed the whole time, and there were certain times where I would have a vision of, walking through the woods in these giant trees. And it would bring me back to a memory that I've had of my time in California. And then afterwards, she would bring it up and be like, did this happen over here? And I'm like, well, yes, this definitely happened. But you feel so peaceful afterwards. You feel so calm, relaxed, and you just want to go lay in the grass and take a nap. So highly recommend that. We'll definitely bring some Reiki masters on here to talk more about it because it's fantastic. And then we're also planning for Terp Float Fest. So I'm getting the team together and we're making the plans to be a part of our next festival. So that brings us to August, which is when Terp Float Fest did happen. And it was epic. I will never miss another Terp Float Fest ever again. We had a team of 10 for this one, and Josh with Terp Float was absolutely amazing to work with. Being a person who is a planner and working in the music industry, it's really hard to find people who are dedicated and passionate and reliable and easy to communicate with. So he was on top of it every single step of the way. We got to set up our Goddess Awakening space. So we again had harm reduction and safe space, decompression. We got to set up next to the Terp tent, which was being ran by another friend named Josh from Oklahoma City. So that was really fun that we got to have friends really close by again. And then I knew a few of the vendors too. So I got to see some vendor friends. And one of our friends, Thad, he actually created an art installation for this specifically, and it was really cool. And it was UV reactive. So people were coming over to our space just to kind of see what was going on some of the time. And we even tried a little bit of vending for the first time. So we sold some pashminas, so that was a lot of fun. I've got tons of pashminas myself, and it's just one of those things that everyone can use at a music festival, whether it's hot or cold or whatever. Terp Float was a great experience. Really looking forward to working with them again. And it was only 2 hours from Oklahoma City. It's actually a river that I've floated many times in high school, so it was kind of bringing it all the way back and just experiencing something totally new. At this point, I stopped drinking in May, so I had been without alcohol for just about 2 months at this point. And that was just something I decided to challenge myself to not drink alcohol for 6 months. And so that was just, I wanted to see how I would feel once I didn't have any alcohol in my system, because I've heard really positive things happen, especially after the 6 month mark. This month is also when we did the Dance Festopia Road 2 in Tulsa. So I helped host that event with Dance Festopia. It is basically a DJ competition where the DJs will come and play, and then the patrons get to vote for their favorite DJ. And then the winner gets a spot to play at the silent disco at the music festival. So that was a lot of fun. The venue was really cool, 473. They had lots of really cool mocktail options, so I was very thankful for that. More than just the usual, Sprite soda options. And it's also dog friendly, so definitely loved that about them as well. And then this was the month that I went to the Wild Emergence in Washington. So I actually just got back a few weeks ago, and this was my second retreat with this group. And I was a co-facilitator, so I got to be behind the scenes and really see how things run at a retreat this time around. My friend Laura is the one who got me involved with this group, and of course she was there, so I got to work alongside her, and I have done quite a few things together at this point. But this is kind of like this is her thing. Like, she knows what she's doing. She's really great about it, and I got to learn a lot from her this time around. The retreat itself had some exercises that I was familiar with and some that were a little different. We did have a psilocybin journey at this one. So I have recreationally played around with magic mushrooms in the past, but it had been a little while. But I had never done it with an intention. It had always just been at a music festival or for fun or whatever. So this time it was a journey for us to go within ourselves, and that is the whole intention. So we have blindfolds, earplugs, whatever we need to be cozy. And there's about 15 of us who are on this journey in the same room. A totally different experience than, like I said, just doing it at a music festival and hopping around. This time we are faced with whatever we need to face. For me, I was having a really hard time letting go of having to take care of everyone else around me. So I'm usually a person, like I've said, with these spaces that I'm hosting, I'm usually one of the people who's taking care of the other people. So while I'm on my magic mushroom journey, I'm also experiencing everyone else around me who is having their own experience. So some people were a lot better about going inward and just staying there. And my one friend, Crystal, she went inward the entire time. I would just look over at her and she still had her eye mask on. She was laying down. I was like, she's got this under control. There was some people like making loud noises. Some people were talking to each other. And I remember asking one of the guides, I was like, is it normal to feel totally overstimulated right now? And she was like, okay, lay down. I got you. This is going to be a journey for you to like release, basically. So I struggled with that for quite a while. And then one of the guides came over and she was having me set my intentions. And then she served me hape. And I just remember even just before her serving me, when I was setting my intentions, just thinking, okay, I got this. I'm going to do this for me right now. And I basically finally surrendered. And I took my pashmina and I learned at Backwoods Music Festival how to wrap it into like a hood. So I remembered how I tied it. I tied it around into my little hood, my little cloak, and I grabbed my Squishmallow and I told my friend next to me, I was like, I'll be right here, but I'm going to go in for myself. And of course, my journey started in a field at Bonnaroo, my first year. And some of my favorite memories of music festivals are just sitting in the grass, looking around at all the people and all the things, and just, that's my happy place. Before I knew what meditation was, I knew what meditation was because of that just sitting in the field, even taking naps and just enjoying the moment right now. So that's where my journey started during this magic mushroom journey. A lot of things were happening when I was going inside. And a few things that came up for me was that I am so supported. I'm so supported. There's a lot of times where I feel like I'm alone, and I know that's not a reality because I know I have so many people who support me. And that was what I remember telling myself and feeling in that moment, that I am so supported. And then I remember a few people actually came around and were like rubbing my back, because I was sobbing at this point. Rubbing my back, fanning me. Someone was like spraying some mister on me, just taking care of me. And with Bonnaroo especially, we would always have a big group, and then there would be a few people who want to go different places, different ways. So we'd set up a home base. So we'd set up blankets and our hula hoops, and a few of us are like, I'm going to stay here. The rest of you can go to, that stage, get food, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, but I'll be right here. And that's where I was in that moment. I was right there at home base, and my people were surrounding me. I remember like making a list in my head and going through these people that I just want to thank and hug and give so much gratitude to for being there for me. Even when, all it is a text message once a month, and it's, hey, I hope you're doing okay. I'm thinking about you. Those things matter. And it was just very clear to see the people who have been there in my life for, 10 plus years, and the people who I'm just starting to get to know in the past year or so. So yeah, I ended up having an amazing experience. Super thankful that I got to really go in for myself, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. And also, I'm already talking to some people about hosting, for me to host a journey and to guide people themselves. So that was just one of the things we did at the retreat. And lots of deep healing happened. It was just a beautiful experience. We're going to be hosting an online mini version of this coming up in November. So I'll definitely make sure to add the link to the link tree for that. If you want to experience just a little bit of the healing and the connection that we get to do together in this group. And then definitely the people who host the retreats, I'm looking forward to continue to do it with them as well. Made tons of new friends. I have Canadian friends now, so that's really cool. People from all over, Tennessee, Oklahoma, lots of people from the West Coast, Arizona and Washington. And then, of course, like they said, the Canadians. I have still not drank any alcohol. The retreat is also substance free, so no alcohol, no marijuana, no caffeine. I've had 1.5 cups of coffee since the retreat so far, and I don't plan to go back. I've actually noticed a big difference with my anxiety, that I have worry about things, of course, because that's how life is. But I don't feel like I'm constantly just like anxious about everything like I feel like I had been in the past. So I think coffee is definitely something that was making my anxiety worse than it needed to be. So yeah, I hope to share lots more information about the retreat and these people that I get to work with, because it's such a great experience. So I'm also working 2 jobs at this point. I'm working at the Honey Pot and the Doggy Salon, and I absolutely love both of them. Starting to help with events for the Honey Pot Apothecary. We host new moon ceremonies. We have fundraisers. We're doing a Maui fundraiser next Sunday. We have different kinds of tarot readers. Reiki is also happening there. So tons of great things happening in that space. And I also started, I call it head therapy. So I finally got a therapist that I actually really, really like. This is the first time ever I'd opened up to having a male therapist. And so far it's going really well. I'm still not fully sure what therapy is for. However, I do feel like it's important for me at this time to have someone to talk to and talk through things with. Speaking of new moon ceremonies, the last one we had last month at the Honey Pot, one of the things, it's all about manifesting. So we wrote down the things that we need, the things that we want to come true. And I actually have been looking for a home for Buddy, who was a dog that belonged to me and my ex. And then my ex had kind of taken over with him. So my ex has since gone to rehab, back to rehab. So I need to find a home for Buddy. And I had been trying to find a home for Buddy for months at this point. And one of the things, the first thing I wrote down on my journal is to find a safe and loving home for Buddy. And we followed that with a sound bath meditation. And right after that, I happened to check my phone and the rescue had reached out and said they had found a home for Buddy. So that was a huge, huge relief for me. While I was at the retreat, Brian actually ended up taking him to the people who were going to foster him in Kansas. And he said they had tons of land and they were familiar with the breed. And I'm pretty sure they'll actually end up adopting him. So that happened. And now we're in the process of selling our house. It's officially listed. We've had tons of showings and I have an awesome realtor, also friend. So I'm thankful for him who's taking care of that with me. And we are back into September. Brian and I are planning a 10-day trip in the East Coast to visit my family in Pennsylvania. He's got family in Boston. And then we're just going to hop around the East Coast and explore because I've always wanted to do that. We have we have a trip next month to Colorado. I'm going to go see Alice in Wonderland, one of my favorites, of course, at Red Rocks again. And then we're going to go visit Aunt Patty and Uncle Tom in Estes Park. And we're going to explore in the Rocky Mountain National Park, which is one of my favorite spots that I've got to go as a child. So I'm looking forward to doing that with Brian this time around. And I am just over 4 months sober from alcohol and feeling really good. I'm starting to definitely tell a big difference. And I'm not missing it like I thought I would, although I love Oktoberfest and there's usually lots of drinking of beer happening there. But this time it'll just be a different experience. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, well, that is all for today. Thanks for listening and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Goddess Awakening. Check out our Linktree in the description for all our socials and upcoming events. This podcast is brought to you by the Possibilities Podcast platform.